Are you able to listen to me? If you can listen to me, just show thumbs up. Thank you. Okay, let's start then. So we have completed simple permanent tissues, right? There are two types of simple permanent tissues: basic packing tissue which is made up of few layers of cells, few layers of cells. These are three types: parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Except sclerenchyma, parenchyma and collenchyma, they are made up of living cells. Parenchyma, it provides support, stores food. Example for parenchyma: chlorenchyma and aerenchyma. Chlorenchyma, it helps in photosynthesis. Aerenchyma, it provides buoyancy, ability to float in aquatic plants. Collenchyma, it provides mechanical flexibility, easy bending without breaking at leaf stalks, branches, etc. Sclerenchyma, it hardens the plant body at the areas like bark, outer coatings of seeds, nuts. Example for sclerenchyma: husk of coconut. Here parenchyma cells loosely spaced with large intercellular spaces. Collenchyma cells not that loosely spaced because of uneven thickenings of cell walls. Hence cell walls are irregularly thickened at corners. Sclerenchyma, no intercellular spaces at all, and internal lumen of the cell also is very much narrowed because of high thickening of cell wall. And sclerenchyma contain lignin in their cell walls, which helps in what? Cementing the cells as well as hardening the cells. So that's about this basic packing tissue. And coming to epidermis. Epidermis is made up of single layer of cells. It covers the entire surface of plant body. Epidermal cells secrete waxy outer coating to their outside, which is water resistant, so that this waxy outer layer prevents the water loss. The plants which live in dry habitat, they have thicker waxy layer than compared to the plants that live in normal areas. Right. And this waxy layer is made up of a substance called cutin, so it is known as cuticle. Waxy layer is known as cuticle. Which plants have thicker waxy layer? The desert plants and the plants that live in dry habitat. Are you able to hear me? I am not able to hear you. What is happening? Right. Okay. So epidermis is present, covering the entire surface of the plant body. We all know there are different parts in plant: stem, branches, leaves, roots, etc. So if you take epidermis, we need to study how the epidermis is present on stem, how the epidermis is present on leaves, and how the epidermis is present on roots. Okay. As we already discussed, the epidermal cells of stem, they produce waxy outer layer to prevent water loss, right? Whereas epidermal cells of leaves, they also produce waxy layer, but the difference is in epidermal cells of leaves, they have tiny pores in them. Not exactly epidermal cells, epidermis entirely. In between the cells, tiny pore-like structures are present, which are called stomata. So stomata are the tiny pores present in epidermis of the leaves, right? And the waxy outer coating is absent in the case of roots. Why? Why the epidermis of roots, or why the epidermal cells of the roots do not produce waxy layer? As we already said, the waxy outer layer is water resistant, by which water cannot enter or water cannot be exiting. So roots are meant for water absorption. If waxy outer layer is secreted by epidermal cells of the roots, then what will happen? Water cannot be absorbed, right? In order to increase the surface area for water absorption, what type of arrangement is there in the roots? The root epidermal cells have long hair-like structures called root hairs. These root hairs are made up of single cells only, with a lot of thinness and lengthiness. The root hairs are going to have more surface area for water absorption. In that way, the roots are having little modified epidermis than compared to stems and leaves. These are the important points regarding the epidermis of stems, leaves, and roots. So in the case of epidermis of roots, you need to remember root hairs. In the case of epidermis of leaves, you need to remember stomata. In the case of epidermis of stem, regarding desert plants and regarding the plants that live in dry habitat, you need to remember that the cuticle or the waxy layer is much thicker in the epidermis of the plants that live in desert areas or that live in dry habitats. So with this, the simple permanent tissues are completed. Now let us move to complex permanent tissues. What is the definition of simple permanent tissue? You just told that let us move to complex permanent tissue, but again you are telling simple permanent tissue. Why, sir? Because you need to learn the difference between the definition of simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. Simple permanent tissue is the permanent tissue that is made up of same type of cells. It is the permanent tissue tissue which is made up of same type of cells, same type of cells. Simple permanent tissue which is made up of same type of cells. Whereas complex permanent tissue is the tissue, it is the permanent tissue which is made up of more than one type of cells. More than one type of cells. So this is the difference. So simple permanent tissue is made up of same type, that is only one type of cells. Whereas here more than one type, not the same type of cells. In complex permanent tissue is not made up of the same type of cells. It is made up of more than one type of cell. That is why it is called complex. Complex means not same, having different things in it. It is complex, right? And there are two complex permanent tissues in the plant body. They are xylem and phloem. Two complex permanent tissues. They are xylem and phloem. Right? Okay. Xylem, this tissue is meant for the transport of water and minerals. It is you are not able to see. Meant for the transport of water and dissolved minerals in water. Minerals in water. It is meant for the transport of food, soluble food products, actually to speak, soluble food products. Xylem is made up of four elements. Made up of four elements. They are tracheids, vessels, xylem, fibers, and xylem parenchyma. Xylem parenchyma. Whereas phloem also is made up of 4 elements. They are sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem fibers, and phloem parenchyma. Can you see it? Is it clear? Okay. Try to make notes out of it. I am not going to give the notes again. Since xylem and phloem, they conduct water and food transport, these two tissues together are known as conducting tissues or vascular tissues. Since xylem and phloem carry out the transport of water, minerals, water and minerals, and food. Water and minerals and food. These tissues are known as conducting tissues or vascular tissues. Conducting tissues or vascular tissues. Conducting tissues are vascular tissues. So what are the vascular tissues in plant? Xylem and phloem. presence of these conductive tissues or vascular tissues made the complex plants, like starting from pteridophytes onwards until angiosperms, to successfully survive on land. Before that, whatever the plants were there which were not having conducting tissues or vascular tissues could not survive on land. Presence of vascular tissues in complex plants they are pteridophytes, gymnosperms, and angiosperms. So complex plants means pteridophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms. Presence of vascular tissue in complex plants made them to survive successfully as complete land plants. Successfully in on land environment or terrestrial environment. On land environment or terrestrial environment. Terrestrial means land. Okay. So if vascular tissues are not there, then these plants would not have survived as land plants. So presence of vascular tissues made these plants to survive as terrestrial plants. Okay. So all terrestrial plants have vascular tissues. Presence of vascular tissues made these plants successfully to survive in land environment or terrestrial environment. Have you noted them? If you have noted them, just thumbs up so that I will rub it off. Right. Okay. So I just have told you xylem is made up of tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma and xylem fibers. Tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma and xylem fibers. out of these cells, many of them are supportive in nature. That means they are dead cells. And the cells of these structures, they are having thick walls. Most of the cells are dead cells with thick cell walls. Thick cell walls. Since they are supportive in nature. Coming to the function of each and every element. Tracheids and vessels. They are the main conducting elements of xylem. Tracheids and vessels are main conducting elements. Main conducting elements means water is transported, water and minerals are transported vertically. Okay. The transport water and minerals, they are the tubular structures. Tubular means tube-like structures which transport water and minerals vertically from roots to the top region of the plant body. And water and mineral transport always in upward direction. Always in upward direction. Always in upward direction. Xylem parenchyma, it stores the food. Parenchyma stores the food. So out of the xylem elements, which xylem elements stores the food? Xylem parenchyma. Xylem fibers, they provide the maximum support. Xylem fibers provide the support. Xylem fibers provide the support, or they are supportive in function. Right now. Have you completed? Okay. Coming to phloem. the food transporting tissue. It transports the food in both directions. When food is abundant in the leaves, food is transported from leaves to bottom region of the plant. And at roots, food gets stored. During autumn, when leaves fall off, the stored food at roots will be transported back to the leaves. So, food is transported. Food is transported in both upward and downward directions. Food is transported in both upward and downward directions. So, food transport is bidirectional. Food transport in plants is bidirectional. Food transport in plants is bidirectional, whereas water transport in plants is unidirectional. Whereas water transport in plants is unidirectional, in single direction. Both here bidirectional means both upwards and downwards. Here only upwards. Right? So keep this in box. Right. Next, like how xylem is made up of 4 elements, phloem also is made up of 4 elements. They are sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem fibers, and phloem parenchyma. Out of these 4 elements, only phloem fibers are dead elements, dead cells. Phloem fibers are made up of dead cells. Remaining 3 elements are remaining contain living cells. Only phloem fibers are dead cells, remaining contain living cells. Okay. In xylem, tracheids and vessels are main conducting elements. In phloem, sieve tubes and companion cells are main conducting elements, especially sieve tubes. Sieve tubes are tubular structures. And these sieve tubes, they have holes in their walls. For example, if you take, this is sieve tube and this is wall. Here many holes are present in it. The walls of sieve tubes are perforated with many small pores so that water can enter from the adjoining xylem vessels into it, and water can leave to the xylem vessels. Water can move from between xylem and phloem through these perforated walls of sieve tubes. And these sieve tubes are the main conducting elements of phloem. Sieve tubes along with companion cells they conduct or transport food. For the food transport by these sieve tubes, water is needed. How water is involved in the transport of food in class 10th you will learn. Okay, right. And as we already said, like in xylem parenchyma stores the food. Even phloem parenchyma also stores the food. Xylem fibers, they provide the mechanical support. Even phloem fibers also they provide the mechanical support. And in both of them, fibers are dead cells. In xylem, even tracheids and vessels also they are made up of the dead elements. Whereas here, only in phloem, only phloem fibers are dead cells. Remaining things are living cells only. With this, the description about the complex permanent tissues also is completed. Let us start with the next topic in next class. Right now, okay, we are left with animal tissues. By next 2-3 classes we can complete these animal tissues. You need to make the notes from this only. I am not going to give separate notes for these complex permanent tissues. Is that okay? Have you completed? Kirtan, I am not able to listen to you. I don't know what has happened. Are you able to listen to me? Hope you are able to listen to me. Whatever the doubts which you are having, you can just post in WhatsApp group. Okay. If I am going to take extra class today, I may not be taking extra class to you. Tomorrow I will see. Okay. Right. If you have completed, I will wind up the class. Have you completed the writing part of these notes? Right. So I am closing the class right now. Okay. Take care. Goodbye.